Hi, my name is Deborah Henney. I'm a wife, author, mother, speaker. Today I'm going to release a prophetic word calling Purifying and Unifying. And what I saw in the spirit was like flames of fire just raining down. And this was coming at the end of a course of several months where I had this growing sense of prophetic witchcraft and divination, like a mixing of witchcraft and divination in prophetic circles. So what I sensed him say was that he is doing a purifying work in his house. For too long, there's been a mixing, a dipping into darkness. There are those who claim to speak his words and do mighty works in his name, but do not be deceived by their smooth words, nor distracted by their mighty deeds, for he's not in it. He will only be found by those refined by his fire and by those who hold fast to his truth. There's been a mixing and a mastery in the mixing of witchcraft and divination, as there have been some that have gone forth in their own way to establish themselves in the eyes of humanity and have intentionally spoken words laden with darkness in his house and over his people. Then there are some whose hearts are genuine, but they've been lured into the deception of untimely gains and have so twisted the purity of his words, which has caused confusion and pain in his people who he has sought to bless and break free. People have been placed under burdens by these voices who shout empty promises not made by him. There is yet another group, one whose hearts are genuine, but have not yet finished the proofing process, yet have established themselves and secured positions for themselves that he has not yet placed them in. Their words contain fragmented fragments of his heart, fragmented because the purity is broken by their brokenness, and his mercy is overshadowed by their judgments, opinions, and agendas. Hear this. He is going forth in fire, and his consuming fire will consume all that is not him and refine what is. The opposition may be great, the mimicry may be too, but his truth will reign as flames of his fire rain down. He is polishing his servants with genuine hearts to serve him, for this is a time of greater purity in the hearts that minister his word. Deception, rooted in witchcraft and divination, have been a strong man with religion in his house that is built on the freedom bought through his blood, his house that is held together in the unity of his spirit. And interestingly enough, probably even a couple years before he released this word to me, I was at home, and it was in the evening hours, it was dark, and I heard something or somebody bustling around downstairs and kind of knocking things around. So I thought, and when I went to go kind of sneak and peek around the corner to see if maybe, somebody from the family was up in the kitchen, there was nobody. And I remember just standing there and looking in the kitchen, being like, what is going on? And it was so strong in my spirit. God said, there's a strong man in the house. There's a strong man in my house. And then years later, he released this word that deception rooted in witchcraft and divination have been a strong man with religion in his house. But God is purifying and unifying, for the division has been great, and the enemy would seek to bring upon his house a division far greater than it has ever seen. In the sense here that the ploys are trauma and hidden wounds and judgments. Healing is a work he's doing in hearts, relationships, and bodies. But beware too of counterfeits who seek quick gain in exchange for hidden bondage. Move in step with his spirit and his word, and don't be tricked, for traps have been laid. There are some who have stumbled into these gilded traps, and he's calling out to them, come to him. Let go of the entanglements of promises that are rooted in the enemy's camp, for the healing he brings is deep, and the freedom he has is true. Purity and unity, purifying and unifying. The beauty of what he will render forth in his servants in this time is unprecedented, and will cause even the brightest light from the enemy's camp to appear as but a shadow. The flames have been kindled and are flickering. Now is the time to align and cast aside all that is not of him. He is not unjust, but is faithful to reveal, for great freedom is at hand. He is untwisting what has been twisted in word, deed, in minds and hearts. He is lighting up what has been hidden and removing the mimickers, for the time of mimicry is over. Let the sound of freedom resound over the land as his spirit sifts and uproots, shaking even the individual grains of dirt and dust away, so his glory can break forth in an unprecedented way. Now, interestingly enough, Jannes and Jambres were kind of associated in sense in this time. And the reference there is 2 Timothy 3, which I'll just read real quick. It says, "But know this, that in the last days difficult times will come, for men will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, without self-control, without gentleness, without love for good, treacherous, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to a form of godliness, but having denied its power. Keep away from such men as these. For among them are those who enter into households and take captive weak women weighed down with sins, being led on by various desires, always learning and never able to come to the full knowledge of truth. Just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so these men also opposed the truth. Men of depraved mind, disqualified in regard to the faith. But they will not make further progress, for their folly will be obvious to all, just as theirs was also." We can thank God for his faithful work in our lives individually and in the lives of his house, of his people at large, that he is always seeking freedom for us. He's always seeking to purify us and to have us stand in unity. So, God, let your fire rain down and consume us. Let your fire come and purify us so we can align with your heart and more purely convey your spirit and your heart through our lives to those around us. Amen.